Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this cold day to a warm place at the museum. You're always welcome to come visit us throughout the week, so don't forget that we are here. Just a couple things. So one way to keep in touch of what we're doing here at the museum is to check us out on our Facebook page. So if you haven't liked us or followed us on Facebook, please do. We try to post a lot of things that we're doing on there. A lot of our classes that we're doing get posted on there. The other way that you can find out what we're doing is through our website, and that we try to keep up to date as much as possible. And so that's another good way to check out the exhibits, and also you can register for our classes and things through that. And then also too, becoming a member is a really fantastic way to stay involved with the museum. When you become a member, you get mailed postcards for every exhibit and every event that we have, along with a quarterly publication that lets you know what's going on in the museum here, along with the art classes and everything else that we're kind of doing there. So those are some really great ways to stay connected to the planet, and of course come visit us as often as you can. That really helps too. So again, thank you. It is a great honor and privilege to have Michael Moore as an exhibiting artist here at the museum. I've known Michael for a couple of years now, and it's always been fantastic talking with him about artwork, and also too, we share our college that we both attended. When Mike went to it, though, it was named differently than when I named to it. And you know, when he went, there was horses and carriages. But a fantastic school, and he'll probably talk a little bit about that, so I won't get into that so much. But again, so it's a great pleasure of mine to welcome Michael Moore.
Well, this is going to be short and sweet, or maybe not very sweet. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming today. I was a history major and art minor in college. I was always fascinated with ancient history. And so some of my paintings, I think, reflect my interest in that, in the fact that these civilizations came and went through time, and part of the thing that I liked, I took different classes as far as art. I liked sculpture, but I decided that it was way too much work and too much time. 9 weeks of class, hard to do a piece of sculpture out of wood, and with mechanical tools. So then I started painting, and acrylics had started coming in to people more and more using them instead of oils. So I started painting using acrylic paints. My favorite artists were like Mark Rothko, Robert Motherwell, Lionel Bunniger, Franz Klein, and Helen Frankenthaler. I want to use a quote, but it actually is from a pop artist, and it's art should be something that liberates your soul, provides for the imagination, and encourages people to go further. And that was actually Keith Haring. And the other quote I like is Mark Rothko. He says, "I'm here to make you think. I don't paint pretty pictures." So you can take that for what it is. I've always liked sculpture, like I said. So since I wasn't going to do sculpture and I started doing painting, I like the depth of stuff that I do in my paintings. I like when the painting's on a wall, the lighting, you get shadow, you get catch more detail in it. I use a lot of different materials. I use paper, wood, cardboard, sand, and I use inks, acrylic painting, and then I use a company that makes iron and copper infused paints. And then you can use, like on the iron, this would be all gray, and then they have a rusting agent, and the more of the rusting agent you turn on, the little particles of iron in the paint will start to rust, and it gives it that rust effect. Same thing with the copper and the bronze. This is 3 different kinds. It's got copper, bronze, and iron. This is paper. This is a modeling paste, and it's a crackle paste. And so the background is all ink, and there's ink underneath this. Otherwise, the white of the canvas would show through. So I want it to look where it's black. And then here's a piece with wood on it. And one of my favorite pieces, this is actually one of the newer pieces I've done. Again, I've used the crackle paste, then light modeling paste. And truthfully, there's only 2 colors on there, but it looks like more than that. I guess at this point in time, to keep it short, any questions?
Where do you do all your work?
Pardon?
Where do you do all your work?
If you go downstairs in my basement, you turn the little corner, and I have a little workspace, and then I do have an easel, and I throw paint rags on the floor, and so I don't mess things up all over the place. And my wife still yells at me because I splatter paint on her different things. So, and then I have my stereo system in the next room, and I always listen to music when I'm painting.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to, when I'm painting, mainly jazz. Yes.
Are all your paintings on canvas?
All the paintings here are on canvas.
What's the first piece of artwork from 2008? What was your first piece where you realized you wanted to do
There's a piece that I have at home that I did before that. And it's a gigantic piece, and I hate it, so.
Was it similar to one of these?
Pardon?
Was it similar to one of these?
It was real 3-dimensional. It was 40 by 36, big canvas. And yeah, I had it hung in the basement for a long time. And I just was never happy with it. So.
Where do you see yourself going from here? Do you have any certain direction you want to go with it?
You know, I've been thinking about that, and I'm not sure what I want to do. I think I'll continue with some of the same things. But I have some ideas of some paintings that I've been thinking about doing that are a little different, more color in them.
Do you have an underlying message in your paintings? Do you have an underlying message in your paintings?
You know, like, to me, this represents decay or something that's falling apart or entropy. And I like things that are showing that kind of, I don't know actually how to describe the feeling, but it just looks like it's something that's really old, and it's just falling apart, basically. And And, but, you know, when I'm painting or when I get an idea for a painting, sometimes I start off and I do some just basic background on it. Like I'll use either acrylic paint and then change my mind and do something else on it. So I'm winging everything. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes for what I paint. Yes, Doc?
So I've known you for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I've known that you have a real eye for art. That's evidenced by your collection over the years. But I didn't know you were doing art itself. I'm just wondering when you started this.
Well, I started, the first painting that I've done, I started in 2008 painting. And then I kind of dropped down a little bit. And I've just gotten, the last 5 years, more serious about it. So, go ahead.
What is the difference between untitled and untitled abstract? I'm sorry.
If it was up to me, everything would be untitled.
Somebody else should.
And, but I guess some things I just think, like the painting that I did, I call it Your Crane.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just fitting for what was going on over there at the time. And I painted that when the war started. So, pardon?
Here,
Ah,
you said you just winged this. Okay, so you're downstairs and you get the background on, and I realize you changed your mind,
yeah.
but how long does it take you from background to your finished product in general?
It varies. Probably the painting that took me the longest was this painting, to get the colors. I worked on this for over a month. Obviously, I didn't work every day because when you're using the smiling paste, you have to let it set for 2 days at least. And then I probably work on it for a couple of hours every day after that. So I probably got 25, 30 hours into that painting. This painting back here is actually, there was a painting underneath here. I didn't care for it, so I put gesso on it, put some paper, created this texture, and then did the acrylic and kind of.
That's paper, the texture?
Yeah, this is paper on this one.
You wet it?
Well, what I did is when I put, when I covered the original painting that was flat, I used gesso over it, and then I just put the paper right on the gesso and pinch it
Like a
together.
technical like that?
Yeah. You could use glue if you wanted to.
What type of paper?
Pardon?
Type of paper?
Oh, I could use newspaper, tissue paper. I've done both.
So as they come closer to completion, are they more about what you're thinking, feeling, or just objectively trying out?
I think that when I'm, like on this painting, I knew what this was going to be from day one. Obviously, when I redo a painting, that's unhappy with it. That painting with this painting here had changed. I didn't like it, and then that's how the metal look ended up on it. Just completely changed how the painting looked. Yes?
Is there anything you'd like to say about the deep fissures in a couple of them?
Excuse me.
A couple of them have these deep fissures, which is like a division,
Pardon?
like this.
The deep
Like
fissures?
Like that, yeah. There's one over there, there's a horizontal fissure in the middle. Is that shift in thinking as you're going along, or?
No, actually, that painting was done in 2008, and that was done before I had started using the metal paints. And so this has got bronze, and then I use a green patina to oxidize the metal. This is copper, and metal copper. And then this is, again, the iron paint with the rusting paint in it. So it's different materials. The modeling paste is the same.
So the figure itself doesn't have any special meaning necessarily?
It's what you want it to be.
I understand.
Yes, Doug?
For posterity.
Do you sell your paintings, or are they your babies and you don't want to get rid of them?
No, if you want to buy one of my paintings, just get a hold of me. I'm very reasonable. Yes.
Can you speak to the title of the show?
Eric?
Did I come up with the title?
Yes, you did.
I thought you did. I think it was more about, like, initially I think it was more about, breaking away from the norm of what we traditionally think about painting and surface application. I think it kind of started from there, and then it started to relate to his paintings a little bit more, where at the time where we were looking at them, a lot of them had these kind of grid-like structures into them. But those grid-like structures were starting to fall apart a little bit. They weren't so precise, Like some really great examples are the blue-black one, a blue charcoal one here, and the white one. There's a grid there, but the grid is slowly kind of falling apart, starting to disappear, especially in the white one. I mean, the white color kind of makes it kind of more, less evident of the structure. The thing that helps that one is the lights and the shadows that are created. So I think it was more initially about that, and looking at
Well, this is part of my decay thing.
Is it related to your age?
Yes. That's my sister.
You want to talk about the materials a little bit more, because that's one thing that a lot of people are struck by, is when they come up here and they view the exhibit, and then they come downstairs and I tell them, it's like,
Okay.
what did you think?
My wife collects sticks, and she makes things out of sticks. So I borrowed some of her sticks, cut them to fit this, and then I painted them black. So that's all that is sticks on that one.
Is this metal here?
No, this is all cardboard.
Yeah, there's no metal in any of these, right?
There's no metal in any of these.
Really?
Other than the paint?
It's cardboard or wood or, you guys, like I said earlier, I use sand. Pardon? There's metal in the paint.
Now this paste that you use for those, is that white and then you have to paint over it, or are you putting color in it?
You can mix a color with it. It can't be more than 10%. Otherwise it won't stick to the canvas. And by itself, this stuff won't stick very well to the canvas. So I actually I put glue wherever I'm going to put this, let it get tacky, and then I apply this to it. I found that out the hard way. I had a piece that I didn't do that, just pieces started dropping out.
So is the paste just white to start?
The paste is white, but you can color it with up to 10%. And after 10%, then it will probably be cracked. I used to use rabbit hide glue to get that same effect, but it's raw rabbit hide and you have to cook it. And the smell is not very good. Greg uses that for an hors d'oeuvre.
Do you drink a lot of wine while you're painting?
Yeah, sometimes. No, actually, I don't drink when I paint. I just listen to music. I drink after I paint.
So like the patina over here, that's why I was very shocked that you have no metal, but it's the metal in the paint, right?
Right.
That gives that patina.
Right. It's the like again, the paint has millions of little particles of iron. So when I use a rusting agent, then it rusts that paint. So that's how I do it. And it's a real expensive paint. And it's just one company makes it. It's out of California. And you can order directly from the manufacturer. If you go through one of the paint companies, art companies, it's 4 times the price. So I've done both. And the thing is, the paint itself, you've got to use it up in at least within a year. Otherwise it starts to kind of get goofy. Kind of like me.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about your color palette of choice or lack of color palette and what draws you to that?
Well, I'm not a colorist. I've never been good at color. I think maybe I might be some colorblind. Ask my wife about my clothing taste. But
Do you think it has something to do with your interest in sculpting? Because a lot of these kind of have they're like uber close versions of like bigger sculptures, possibly like the bronze and that.
well, I tend to like dark clothes. I tend to like dark paintings. But I've never been very good at color. One of my favorite artists, Doug was reading about him last night, and he went to Yale and then studied abroad and came back, got married, started teaching at Yale, painting. And his wife said, "Your taste of color in clothes is terrible." She said, "You need to go to an eye doctor." He was totally colorblind. So he went into printmaking. And so I'm not quite totally colorblind, I don't think.
Any other questions for Mike?
Yes.
Do you usually have a vision of what you want to create before, and then how long does it take you to kind of mull through that? And I realize, like you said, you might get started, and start something new. But does it usually start in your mind first?
Yes. Sometimes you're walking somewhere and you see something, and that just kind of trips a trigger that you think, that'd be kind of neat for a painting.
That's a really interesting question, because I would imagine that you come at each one of these paintings with an idea, but along the way to making it into a finished object, that you're reacting to the things that you were doing along the way and learning from them and building on that. I don't know if that's true or not. You seem like the kind of things that I wouldn't imagine full blown. They would only come into shape as you're doing it. Wrapping to your own work.
And a lot of them actually are paint overs.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I just don't like the colors in them, so I change it. But, I think anybody that's ever done art, your own worst critics. Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing two different kinds of things here. I'm seeing where you're really involved with the surface, but then I also see like these three-dimensional things. They seem to be kind of separate from the more flat painted. Can you talk about that at all?
You mean something like this over here?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have those three up there that are more three-dimensional, but these others are more flat. They're much more about surface.
Yeah, I always like a little bit just because of depending on the light and stuff, you get different shadows and stuff. So some surfaces I have more depth on and some very little. But I hardly ever, this has sand and modeling paste, and this is paper up here. And this was a completely different color. So that was redone. Everything on there besides the paint.
Would you say you like to experiment?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. For me, it's fun. I like to play with it. I enjoyed that part. Yes, Michael?
This mic first.
She's got it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This one next to the white one.
Yeah.
Did you paint those swirls, or it was the process of whatever you did to get the swirls?
This was sand that I put gesso and then I put sand spread, and then I used a palette knife and swirled it around.
And then when did you go after you swirled it around, and how about the colors?
I was just doing it. I've always liked science as far as stars and planets. So it's what I think it's just representing that. Looking through a telescope at something billions of miles away. That was the idea from the
And when you got the browns and the golds and stuff, did you drop that? Whatever scientific stuff you use. Is that what made that, or is it the paint? How did you get the browns and the golds there?
Well, this is just the little yellows,
yeah,
and the reds, and the kind of greens that's just ink that I dropped on.
Okay, I turn it over to Mike.
I think this morning somebody said something about, or you did, I know you did, something about keeping a sketchbook years ago. And do you remember that? You talked about a sketchbook where you've done some stuff. Do you ever, and then you said you don't anymore.
I don't anymore.
Do you still have those? Do you ever go back and look at some of them to get an idea? Or just
I have a few of them, but didn't say much. Yes.
Hey Mike, so when I had kids in here touring your exhibition, the one thing that they picked up immediately is that that painting is the only one that has words in it. And the kids really wanted to know why only that painting had words in it while everything else did not.
I'm glad they didn't see all the bad words.
They might have.
It was kind of a political piece.
back to my collector observation. I mean, I really think you are an astute collector. How has being a great collector influenced what you're doing?
I think I inherited that disease from my mom. I'm a collector of antiquities, dinosaur, prehistoric animals, Indian heads, and axe.
But also a lot of art.
Yeah, just a lot of things that humans made or that roamed the planet at one time.
I think that's an interesting beginning to a conversation about your relationship to the things that you collect, and then looking at the paintings that are on the wall as possibly having a stronger connection, because you're dealing with like things that look old, that have age to them, and you collect those kind of things, or you collected those kind of things. And then paintings, when you started to have this conversation, the paintings actually, and at least in my mind, became little samplings of a part of like a bowl, or maybe a dust layer on an antique clock or something like that. So I think that's the relationship, maybe to think about. Maybe these paintings have a relationship to that aspect of collecting, and then you're trying to physically like display that emotion that you have with that, with the paintings. Do you think that could be a possibility, or?
Yeah, and I think it probably is. I mean, I don't know where I got that bug at, but my mom was an antique collector, and she was in her 90s or early 90s, and she was still driving and going to antique shows in a big pickup.
So any of the art that you collect, is it anything like this?
Completely different.
I mean, I've never seen artwork like this, so that I assume that your stuff is like groundbreaking, but I don't know if that's the case.
I'm not sure, is this what they kind of call industrialist? Industrialist?
Kind of, sort of.
That's what
yeah.
I'm new on the scene. I don't know much about art.
Well, like, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff that I've got stored away. And mostly because I can't afford paintings, I buy prints. And, most of them are, some are abstract, but some are very realistic. I have a collection that's stored in the basement. And I gave quite a few of them away a couple of years ago. Just they never hang. And I got a bunch that I got framed and matted and do something.
These are framed. Take that back.
Pardon?
I say none of these are framed, and as soon as I said that,
There's one frame, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one that's framed is that.
Yeah. Any other questions for Michael?
Yes.
A lot of yours have cardboard on it.
Yeah.
So, in your little room downstairs, do you have a stash of cardboard? Or do you go running to Fairway and ask for cardboard?
It's usually stuff that unpacking stuff and things like that that I use. Like all of them, the pieces in that and one behind there, things that ordered through Amazon or someplace.
So do the pieces inspire you? Or you've got an idea and then you look for the pieces?
Well, my wife says I just won't throw anything away.
All right, well, let's give Michael a round of applause. So again, I'm sure I got plenty of food left downstairs, so make sure you fill your belly before you skedaddle. But I want to thank you all again for coming out to Blanden, and make sure that if you're ever in the area, to stop by and check out what we have going on. Mike's exhibit will be up until it'll be up for a couple months, so you can come back and. Yeah, I think so, yeah, that sounds right. But you can definitely come back and check it out again. Also, too, we record all of our artist talks, and we have a YouTube page. And so if you want to hear Mike's amazing words and knowledge, again, just stop by on our YouTube channel, and you can check that out along with any other past ones that we've done. So there's a lot of great resources there that we've started doing really since 2020, 2019, somewhere in there we started producing videos. So again, thank you very much, and think about becoming a member so that you can stay up to date with everything that we do here. And check us out on Facebook, and thank you very much.